Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today I'm digging up some trees from the pre-bonsai garden. I'm going to be removing 3 boxwood trees, the main nursery plant here, and then there's 2 cuttings off of it. I also have a European buckthorn here that I want to get out. And if I get time, my bonus tree would be this ash tree. I'll dig around the perimeter of the tree, hoping to get lots of roots. I noticed that there's actually 5 boxwoods here. There's 4 cuttings off of this tree. 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, I'll have enough for a whole forest. So here I go. Another stone down there. There, I got into some soil there. So I'm getting the boxwood untangled. There's the big ash tree roots. They're huge. Okay, here comes the box now. There it is. So there's the boxwood. So I'll get that in water too. Now the boxwood does have a fairly big root here. It's not a real compact fibrous root system on it, but it definitely has enough to sustain it. Keep it going, keep it alive. So yeah, I'll have to cut off a few of those longer roots. So here's my root system on the box. So I'm going to have to take off some of them to get it in the bucket of water. There's one growing straight down here. I'll get rid of that. If I can get in here. Like that. You know, most box have a more of a fibrous root system than this. I guess because it's growing in the ground and not a nursery pot. You can see the huge root here. So it's too long, that root. I'm going to have to cut it back. Right back to here. If the tree lives, it lives. If it dies, it dies. So here I go. There we go. The boxwood is pretty hard. I got another one going down here I got to get rid of. Got to get this root system under some control here. Can't be a wild root system all its life. All right, well, that's a good start. That'll at least fit in the bucket of water. There. All right, now I'll go get the rest of those boxwood cuttings. I don't know if this ash will ever be a bonsai. I'll check the root system, but you can see the size of the one root on it over here. It's enormous. I don't know if it has any finer roots at the base here or not, but I will get the rest of the box cuttings out. So that larger box tree, it looks, once it's out of the garden, it looks way bigger than I thought it was. It looks enormous. That's a dead tree. So it just goes to show, in the ground, trees look pretty small. But when you get them in a pot, they look pretty big. Okay. I think that one's out. Yep. There's part of a maple attached to it. It's not worth anything. Yeah, that's a good root system on that one. That's awesome. Okay, a couple more to go here. It was quite a challenge to get the large boxwood out of the front garden with all those stones around it, but I got it out, and the root system, it's not the greatest. It's not fine and fibrous, but hopefully it'll recover in bonsai soil and then grow a nice root system on it. I was able to get the ash tree out just by pulling it with my bare hands. So it does have some kind of a root system here, you know, despite that huge one off to this side here, which I'm going to have to cut off with the loppers. It's just too big. I'll expose what roots are in here, see if it's worth saving or not. I mean, it's not a bad tree up top. Just needs a bit of TLC, I think. So yeah, let me get out a root rake and I'll see if I can expose the roots and see if there's enough root system to plant the tree. And when I say plant the tree, I mean plant it and have it survive. So, I don't know. So, you know, maybe I was lucky that there might have been a stone or something under the base of this tree, or it looks like gravel actually. So, you can see there's something stopping the root system growing down. I think it was on top of a stone, or maybe that rubber sheet, a pond liner or something, because it's very flat on the bottom, which is kind of bonus, I guess. Wow, look at it. So you can see that big thick root, just the trunk comes down and grows, you know, the big tap root off to the one side. However, you know, it does have a few fine roots around it here that it might recover and survive. We'll see. I've got the loppers, so I've got to cut that root off, and boy, where's the best place to see it? Maybe over here. So the problem is the root doesn't taper down into the soil. It goes horizontal or maybe slightly even uphill, which isn't good. So maybe, you know, there is a few roots coming off of it. I think, you know, if I were to cut it right back, the tree might die. So I think for now, you can see the shovel mark here. If I cut it off here, develop roots, and then maybe I can carve it back later on. I think that's the best plan of action. So here I go. Now, there is a root coming out here too. Where's that come? That comes up top. Actually, that is a better root up top there. Might be the surface root in the future. Anyway, I'm going to come in here and just cut this off, making sure I'm not cutting through this root. All right, here I go. So there's that part of the root system off. I'm thinking maybe this pot, it's about the right size. I mean, I can fit the tree in there. If I protect this tree in the greenhouse in the winter so I don't let the pot freeze, I don't think it'll break or crack. So it might be a good pot for it. I think so. I don't really have a training box built the right size, and I might as well use this pot for something. So yeah, I could plant it right like that. Now it's going to take a lot of soil in here. Maybe I can fill the bottom with some coarser gravel or something, sort of like a drainage layer part way up, and then put the bonsai soil in. I think that would be a good idea. And maybe something light, like maybe fill the bottom with perlite. I don't want to make this really heavy because, I don't know, the older I'm getting, the more I dislike lugging heavy trees around. All right, the pot has some pretty big holes in the bottom, so I'll have to cut some drainage screen to cover those up. I think I'll use pretty big drainage screen too. Just cut this piece in half and put that in. And then, yeah, I think perlite for the bottom layer. That'll be light, free draining, and it'll kind of fill it up, and then I'll fill the rest with bonsai soil. Okay, I've got perlite here. So here I go. I'm just going to pour this in here. This is fairly big particles of perlite, so I think it'll be good. Let me see how full that is. A little more, maybe. Let me see how the tree's sitting in here. I think that's a good height. I'll show you that from above. So there's the perlite in there, and the tree would sit on top, and then I'd fill in around with bonsai soil. And then let the tree recover for, you know, maybe a couple of years till it fills the pot with roots, and then tackle the root system again. I hope this tree lives because the emerald ash borer has decimated the ash population here in Ontario. All the large trees are dead. The only trees that are alive are little seedlings and that you know, the ash borers don't bother with. So I hope this one isn't too big and it gets infected with them, but we'll see. Maybe it's a survivor. All right, now comes the hardest part of this entire dig, and that is using up all my good bonsai soil around this tree. It's going to use a lot of soil, but if it lives, it'll be worth it. And I think it will live. I think there's plenty of roots in here. And it'll like this bonsai soil for sure. And it'll like getting watered regularly. In the front garden, it didn't really get watered at all. So the trees in the summer would dry out and not look so good. So I'm going to lift the tree just slightly now. Kind of work that soil in. And I haven't picked a front or anything for the tree. This is just basic survival training. And I do have my dust mask on for this because it's quite dusty. Now, some people add a bit of humidity to their soil, which helps keep the dust down. That's probably a good idea. If the tree doesn't live, I can reuse this soil. It will just be like not that old. I'll know soon enough. If it comes out into leaf and starts growing, I know the tree has survived. Now I better get a chopstick and work this soil into the root system. So here I go. Okay, that is good. I am going to water the tree now. All right, so that's got the tree watered. It's flowing out the drainage holes really well. Let's have a look at it now and just see maybe some potential fronts for the future. All right, I'll begin to rotate the tree around. So here I go. So the trunk kind of curves forward, which, you know, that'd make a nice front maybe. It's not bad. If I tilt it slightly, it shows this back branch and the front one. There's another one behind here. I think I'd have to remove all these suckers or, you know, make another small tree kind of here. Anyway, I'll rotate it around. So there's kind of the front as it sits in the pot now. Yeah, there's a lot of, I'd say anywhere in this kind of direction with the trunk kind of leaning forward is good. Anywhere from here right over to here is quite a reasonable front for the tree. So I'm going to place some stones on top of the soil just to hold the tree in really firmly, and then I'll put it in the cold greenhouse and see how it does. All right, on go the rocks. That's a fancy rock. I like that. I think that's maybe limestone. So that can go right there. One over here. And the big one kind of back here. Oh, that's nice and solid. Okay, so that goes into the cold greenhouse now. I guess I should have moved it and then put the rocks on, but let me see how heavy this is. Ah, it's not too bad. it's quite reasonable to lift this. The ash tree is in its new home, at least for a while anyway, until it starts recovering. So it's on the floor there. I don't think, you know, anything, if a mouse got in here or anything, it would bother with this. They've never chewed on this in the front garden. So ash trees mustn't taste very good. Yeah, so hopefully next time we see this tree, it'll be in leaf and doing well. The last tree that I want to get out of the ground today is this European Buckthorn. It just sprouted in the garden here, and I've been training it for, I don't know, like 10 years. And I didn't mean it to have like this sort of curvy trunk style, but the branches kept dying off on it, and then it would sucker out again. And so I think they're a very difficult tree to shape, but that's in the ground here and it doesn't get watered or taken care of. So maybe in a bonsai pot, they're easier to shape and kind of keep those branches alive. I don't know. So I'm going to dig it out of the ground, try it in a pot, and see how it does. Okay, that shovel went down easily that time. That one too. These buckthorns generally have a fairly compact fibrous root system, so they're fairly easy to collect. Now, it is illegal to propagate them, but you're allowed to grow them and, you know, have them in your yard and that. You just can't plant seeds because they're invasive. Okay, I think still one root holding it in here. There. That is now free. All right, I'm going to start combing out the root system, see what the roots are like. Yeah, this is looking good. So here's the drum pot. I think it's, you know, a good size for the tree. If I can get this root base reduced nicely. I can see there is some bonsai soil in here, and that was just added as like a top dressing, used bonsai soil. I used to add it to the garden area. Okay, I'll clean away the soil and we'll come back to do some root pruning. There's a branch here, I don't want it. If I keep any branch, it'll be this one, I think. I don't know. I don't think I'll keep any branches at the base. There's a dead one here. I'll just rough cut them for now, and then I'll come in and clean them up. Yeah, I don't want one here either. I just want it single trunk. Bit of a root here I got to get rid of. Like that. Now, I think I'll get my root rake out, do some fine combing here. Okay, so you can see a bit of flare happening here at the base of the tree. That's good. Nice, actually, yeah, very nice root base. Quite happy with it. So I've kind of got the surface roots exposed now. I'll need to get my my pruners now and come in and start detailing the root system. All right, I'll just kind of spray it down, clean them off a bit. So this is the area I'm going to start with, getting rid of all these stubs here. Ching. Keeping it just, you know, a plain, simple trunk line. There we go. I don't know how that'll heal, but now there's a root kind of sticking up here. That I think I'm just going to prune off. Like that. These roots aren't ideal here. They're kind of high in the root plane, but Can't do too much about that. There's one here. The flares down into the soil, and there's one sticking out here. I'm going to get rid of that. Like that. Another one beside it. I can get rid of that one. I'm going to get rid of this little one here. Get this flush cut. This one. Like that. A little root here. I'm going to get rid of that. It's too high. This one's sticking out here. Get rid of that. This one, I don't know how it got pruned off, but not very nice and clean. So I'm going to prune it back, cleaning up the cut. Actually, maybe I'll take it even back further to there. Yeah, everything else is flowing into the root system, like down below the soil line, quite nicely. Yeah, now there's a root here. This one's not very radial. This one's nice. This one's kinked over. If I could either straighten it out, which I might be able to do. Sort of like that. That's looking better. Looking much better. There's another root here that kind of comes off not very nicely. Kind of got a trident here with the roots. I think that one's got to go. Just doesn't flow nicely. Okay, I think that's, as nice as I can get the root system. Now, to fit it in this pot, well, that means a bit of cutting to go. Quite a bit. I want to get it in this pot. Yeah, it's a good time to repot it. If I don't get it in a kind of a smaller pot right now, then, I'll have this sprawling root system. And if the tree doesn't make it, well, it doesn't make it. It's not. So here I go. I'm going to start root pruning here. Getting rid of a lot of these long roots. Trying to prune them back to some more, healthy roots, but there's one that goes downhill. It's getting closer to fitting in the pot, but it's definitely not there yet. Just heard a jig break. Go take this one back. And this one. Wow, a lot of root cutting. But like I said, this is the best time of the year to do this. The leaves haven't come out on the tree yet. Okay, that's looking pretty good. It fits in the pot. It's just sitting on these big roots growing straight down, so they have to be pruned back. So here I go. Tough ones. I think I'll get the loppers on this one. I'd use Tom's ratcheting pruners, but I don't want to get them dirty in the soil. Okay, here it comes. That one's off. Now, let's see how it's sitting. So that's sitting in the pot quite nicely now. I could nibble away at those roots a bit more on the bottom with my beautiful, nice pruners I restored. Cutting through dirt, they do need sharpening anyway, so. So just try to get this root base as flat as I can on the bottom. Tough roots. Very tough roots. Come on. A few other roots growing straight down that I can prune back. That one was going a bad direction. Come on. I think that's pretty flat. Let's see how it sits. Yeah, that's pretty good. There's one root sticking down here that I gotta get rid of, stopping me getting it flatter. Okay, I'm happy with that. That's a good start of a nice root base on this tree. Except for that one root. Still not very good, but oh well. I think that might just have to be corrected next time. Take this back just a little further. Tuck some of those roots in. Yeah, I think that's good, and the level in the pot's quite nice. Like, it's, you know, if I fill it up, it's still got a bit of the surface roots showing. It's round in the pot, so I can pick my front wherever I want. There's a look at the tree in the pot. And again, this tree looked very small in the garden, but when I get it in a pot like this, it's quite a big tree. I am going to play around with a front for the tree. That, you know, maybe determine my planting angle. Pretty nice right there. Right kind of there. Comes forward. As long as I get the lean of the trunk so it's, you know, going vertical in the side view, I think that's pretty nice. Got a few scars in the front, but they're all over the place where branches have died back. The roots look good in that view. Yeah. Okay, so I'll get some screens in the bottom of the pot, start planting the tree. I've got my drainage screens in the bottom, so I'll get a base layer of soil in here. All right, let me get the tree planted in there now. looking good. Some more soil in here. So this is the front. I need to tilt it just a bit. It's getting firmer in the pot as I work the soil into all the air spaces by the roots. Yeah, it's feeling good in there. Okay, a little more soil to top it up. Kind of build it up a bit around the base of the tree. Then I can always rake it away to expose the roots later on once the tree's growing well. I've been working on this styling for, yeah, like I said, about 10 years. And it always dies back and I have to restyle it. And you can see all the branches it's had that have died off. It just seems to keep growing and I just keep training it. And kind of a cool little twisty tree today. Just pruning some of these roots that are sticking up out of the soil. Okay, so now I can give the tree a water. Here's a look at the tree in the pot. I'll spin it around so you can see it from all angles. Nice little tree. I'll give it a water now. All right, here I go. Give it a good, nice, thorough watering. Wash the top off. Okay, that is watered. I'm going to have to plant the Boxwoods tomorrow. It's starting to rain and it's supposed to pour tonight, so I've kind of run out of time today. I was really happy with the two trees I got planted, the ash and the European buckthorn. I think they'll be great trees in the future. That's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.